Today we're going to take a look at preparing the person behind the rifle for a successful buffalo hunt. And we're going to focus mainly on two aspects. The first one is getting into physical shape very briefly. And then secondly, really paying attention and spending quite a bit of time on preparing and placing that first shot and then follow-up shots. When buffalo hunting is done the right way by tracking them, it involves a lot of walking. And the simplest way to get into shape for a hunt like that is to do a lot of walking in preparation. And I'm very fortunate. My wife loves staying in shape by walking. So we do a lot of it every day. And especially in the 3 months before a hunt, we do it on a daily basis. Just a couple of comments on getting into shape and getting fit. I think firstly, we need to recognize that, on flat terrain, you don't really train that much. So trying to find somewhere where you can actually go up and down and actually walk in the bush, where you have rocks and uneven surfaces. I think that's how you get into good shape. And I try to really get into good shape at least 3 months before we go on a hunt, and definitely use the same boots that you're going to hunt with. Even though we're going to focus on the hunter and the rifle that the hunter uses in today's video, I think part of preparing the hunter is really to be very comfortable with shot placement. And we'll spend just a couple of minutes on just looking at shot placement. And there's a whole wealth of information out there on the internet and in really good books on where to place that initial shot and where to place follow-up shots, especially when it's not ideal and the animal's running or moving away from you or coming towards you. And I really would recommend that you familiarize yourself really well with what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to shoot at something inside the animal. We're not really aiming to shoot at something on the outside of the animal. And I think that's a concept that once you understand that, you're halfway there. And there's no shame in checking with your professional hunter on, once you're comfortable and you're in position, to ask him really, is this where I should place that first shot? Because I think, being really sure of where that first shot goes can save you, a lot of hassle. Now, this book on the far right, African Hunter Guide to Inyati, I want to show you they have a really nifty little deal on the corner of each page, which really explains what we're trying to achieve shooting at something inside the animal very, very well. So what I want to show you is on this specific book, what they've done on the bottom right is they've really made a series of drawings where you can look at that buffalo, and as you flip the pages you can see that the buffalo virtually changes, and you can see that, okay, so now it's turning, and we can see that we're trying to hit the heart inside that animal, and we're shooting at something inside the animal, not at a spot outside the animal. So depending on your angle, you really have to just think about it a little bit and adjust your shot. And I'll show you how I showed it to my son. But if you could get a hold of this book, I think it really is very simple way to get familiar with where the real target is inside that buffalo. So when I took my son out for his first impala hunt, I used a Matchbox, but it really was nothing different than what I have here. And I just put toothpicks in for the legs, and this side's the head, this side's the tail of the animal, and in between the front legs lies the heart. Now, depending on where you stand and how you're looking at that animal is going to depend on where you shoot. So if this animal is really 100% side on, and you're going to shoot from this position here, then you go right up the leg, a third up the animal, and you place your shot right there. And once you've done that, you're going to hit that heart. But if you start moving or the animal starts moving, okay, now we're behind the animal or the animal is quartering away from us. Well, if we do that same shot here, we're going to miss that heart. We're going to shoot through that animal right there. So the concept is we still want to hit this target. And, well, it seems we hit it perfect. Good there. So we still want to hit this target. So what we need to do is we need to now move our shot slightly behind the leg to intersect and hit it. The same as if the animal has moved or we've moved and we now have to shoot it from a quartering on animal. We can't shoot there because then we're going to hit the guts and we're going to have a gut shot animal, and we may never find that animal, or it may, you know, die a lingering death or charge us or something. So again, you know, if we need to just understand that we're shooting at something inside that animal. So this was a very easy way to explain to my son that, listen dude, we just need to think about it a little bit before we pull that trigger, then and just get it right that we're shooting at something inside the animal and not at a specific site outside the animal. And once you've got that, I think then it's really time to prepare man and rifle, and we're going to look at that in great detail right now. Now, even though this table is a little busy, I'll explain what we're trying to achieve here. The way that I look at preparing for a buffalo hunt is I'm working towards the actual rifle caliber, bullet combination and optics that I'm going to use on that hunt. So in this case, I'm working towards taking a 416 Rigby with 400 grain bullets mounted by a Schmidt & Benner 1:8 by scope. So this is going to be my pinnacle that I want to be comfortable with, that I'm going to hunt with. So I hear a lot of talk about building muscle memory, building muscle memory. You can only build muscle memory if you do the same thing with the same equipment all the time. If you keep changing stuff out and everything changes every time you use it, you're not really building muscle memory. I think you're actually confusing muscle memory. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to get to be very comfortable with a 416 Rigby with a scope that has magnification of 1:8, and I really personally like using a 6x magnification. So you'll see that all of the rifles we're going to use to build up to that muscle memory, I'm going to use the exact same magnification on that scope. They're all going to be set at a 6x magnification. So this is where I want to end up with. And towards the end of preparing for the hunt, this is the only rifle I'll shoot. It will be with the same ammunition that I'm going to hunt with. It'll be at that same 6x magnification, and it'll only be this 416 Rigby. Now it's crazy to really think that and it's really financially not viable to do this all the time preparing for a hunt. So I start almost 9 months before I go hunt, and I'll show you where I start and how I build up towards this. So there's two other rifles on this table, and I'm going to go to the far out rifle first. That is a CZ22 long rifle. I use a 22 to start off with every hunt. So you'll see this rifle has a scope on it. It's set at 6x magnification, and I shoot exactly the same number of bullets. When you looked at that 416, it had 4 bullets, and I fill up that magazine with 4 bullets. That's how I'm going to hunt with it. And I do the exact same thing with this 22. There's 4 bullets there, so I put 4 in the magazine, and I shoot 4, and I try to do it every single day. I'm fortunate to live in the mountains and have the opportunity to just walk out of my house and shoot. So before I go hunt, for the 9 months approaching a hunt, I try to shoot those 4 bullets every single day. We'll go over how I shoot them in just a second, but that's how I do it. Now obviously the 22 has very limited recoil and it's cheap to shoot, but it gets me into that routine of seeing the exact same magnification through a 6x scope. So I'm going to see what I'm going to see through my Schmidt & Bender. Maybe not as clear, but it'll be the same magnification. I'm going to shoot 4 shots. I'm going to use the same procedure as when I go hunt. The first shot's going to be off the sticks. The other 3 shots are going to be offhand. Now, about 6 months before I go, I start using a bigger recoiling rifle, and in this case I use a 275 Rigby or 7mm Mauser. It's actually my son's hunting rifle, but I love that rifle. It fits me really well. It's got a Swarovski scope on it, but again, I set that Swarovski at the 6x magnification. I never move it away from that. And again, I put 4 bullets in that magazine. I shoot them exactly the same way. 1 off the sticks and 3 offhand. Now, again, the purpose of this is, okay, so I'm still going to shoot that 22 every day. And maybe I'm going to shoot the 7mm Mauser every weekend. But now I'm going to start feeling a little more recoil. It's going to start getting a little more real. And then, you know, once a month, I'm going to take the real McCoy, the 416, and shoot it. And that changes about 3 months before I go hunting. Then it becomes a weekly gig. Every weekend, I'm going to shoot this rifle, and I'm going to be very familiar with it. Again, it's 4 rounds, 6x magnification, and I'm going to build that muscle memory. I'm going to see the same magnification. I'm going to shoot the same number of ammo, 4 rounds. I'm going to shoot them in the same procedure or the same sequence. And just one thing, I actually have the ear protection up there. I sometimes cheat and use the big ear muffs, but in that little box are the plugs for my ears that I use when hunting. The last 2-3 months before I go on a hunt, everything is the same as on the hunt. I use the same earplugs, same clothing even, and you know, this is how it works. Now, how does this change when I use a double rifle, which is open-sighted? Well, I use the exact same sequence or procedure. I just change the optics. So on that 22, I remove the scope, and I use open V sights. On the 7mm Mauser, I remove that scope. It's got swing off mounts, and I use open sights. With that PPU ammunition, which is pretty affordable, shoots perfectly on song at 100 yards with open sights. And the double rifle is going to be the with open sights as well. Now, with the double rifle, I use dummy rounds because it's different. What makes this easy is the 22 is bolt action, the 7mm is bolt action, the 416 is bolt action. When you use a double rifle, you have to train opening it up, getting the 2 rounds out that's been fired, getting 2 new ones in. So even though I don't fire it every time, when I shoot with the 22 or the 7mm, the double comes with me, and I use dummy rounds, and I will dry fire 2 rounds, get the action open, either drop them out if it's a extractor rifle, or they'll fly out if it's an ejector rifle, and I will train with my belt on to replace those 2 rounds and dry fire them as well. So I think it's just really, you have to be cognizant of how you build that muscle memory. It's got to be real. Otherwise, it's just going to be a drag, and it's not really going to help you. Now let's move over to the actual shooting range and go look at what do we do when we shoot these rifles. A couple of comments on just range setup and shooting sticks. Now, with regards to shooting sticks, I use this very simple tripod for 2 reasons. Number one is if you get to a camp in Africa and they don't have one, it's very simple to make. You've got 3 sticks, use inner tubing, and you have it. It's very easy to carry and not complicated. There are some more modern ones that have a separate set of legs or separate setup for the stock of the rifle. For the life of me, I just can't work with those things. So I think the most important thing is get really comfortable with whatever works for you, and then make sure that they have it when you go to Africa. The last thing you want to get into is, I had this happen to me in Maasai land a got there and they had those fancy sticks, and man, I just couldn't come right with it at all. So just make sure that they have what you're comfortable with, and again, train with what you are comfortable with and what works for you every single time. Now, just a quick look at the range setup. I have a life-size buffalo up top on the hill there, side on. Then at about 45 yards, there's one that's looking at us head on, and I do change those two out. So sometimes the buffalo looking at me would be up at about 90 yards, and the other one would be down at the bottom. So those two I do change out. And I also change out. Sometimes my first shot is at the one at 45 yards, and sometimes the first shot is at the one up top, because you never know how close they're going to be and the position they're going to be in when they look at you for the first shot. And then you'll look here really close by. There's a black shotgun clay, and at about 10 yards down there's another one, and those are kind of my those are the last two shots. So the first shot is at a stationary buffalo, second one stationary. I don't have the luxury of having a shot at a moving target here, but then these two close-up ones, they're important. On an open sight rifle like a double gun, it's not a big issue because they are designed to shoot up close at point of impact. The scope makes it a little more tricky because the scope's mounted above the barrel. So if you put your scope in the center of that thing, you're going to shoot low, and your bullet's going to go low. So you need to train with that a little bit. On the 416, that Schmidt & Benner, it actually has the CC function, which is called close combat. Once you've shot your 4 shots and you turn it back to that setting, I'll show you later on. It is spot on these close-up clays. I really like that function on that Schmidt & Benner. Right, so we'll dress up and start shooting. Now, just with regards to the things you carry on yourself as a person, I like to train with those things on me. So binoculars, I carry it very simply behind my back on a sling. It doesn't interfere with anything. If I've got to pick up a gun and shoot, and if it's hot, I've got to make a plan. I can adjust. There's nothing interfering with it. So same with your belt. The worst thing you want to figure out is when you get to Africa that you've got it set up in a system that your cases are really chewing up your buttstock. So I carry my rifle. I don't use a sling, and I have nothing here that's going to interfere with it. I can carry, conduct it around a bush or whatever. And I carry limited stuff. I carry bullets, Leatherman, a little bit of something to check the wind, and a small knife. And I carry a small knife for the simple reason that in Zimbabwe I had a bigger knife. When you've got to sit on your bum and crawl, a big knife, it's like, you know, carrying a plow through the field there. So I think it's important to sort out how you carry your stuff so that it doesn't interfere with your weapon. And you know, if you train with that, you'll very quickly figure out that something is just not right. It's interfering. It's catching on the stock or something. And just keep it practical. Thanks.
I often get asked why I shoot so many rounds with a 22, and it's simply to manage my flinch. I'm going to acknowledge that I do flinch when I shoot, and I prefer using the 22. It helps me really get comfortable, doesn't recoil, I can manage that flinch. A couple of things I want to say is just look at this. So we're shooting the first shot off the sticks, the rest all follow offhand, and we'll get to why that's important in just a sec. The reason for not shooting continuously off the sticks in just the first shot is because this is what's going to happen with a big caliber hunting rifle in the field. Once you fire that first round, 3 things are going to happen. You're going to experience the recoil, that animal's going to be hit hopefully, and you're going to lose sight picture because that rifle is, due to the recoil, it's going to move in your tripod. And you then need to be in a position to do 2 things very quickly. Firstly, is you have to get the fired round out of the gun, get the new round into the gun, and then get that rifle on song to fire that second follow-up shot. Last video, shooting the 416, I actually slowed the video down to show you a couple of concepts. So first and foremost, you will see that the recoil is real. It does remove you from that sight picture. And that is why, it is very difficult to go back on that shooting sticks and get back on the target. Because at the same time, that buffalo you've just put a round into will have moved. And you need to reload. So you will see that the gun comes off my shoulder. I really work that bolt full length back, get the empty case out. I keep my eyes on the gun to make sure that that's out. I then make sure, still keeping my eyes on the gun, to make sure that the next round is fed. Then I bring the gun up, acquire the target, no sticks, nothing interfering, and I fire the second round. I do exactly the same procedure. Make sure the empty brass comes out, make sure a fresh round goes in, and then we start shooting and keep shooting until it's done. The last thing, and I've seen this in 3 separate videos now, that you need to worry about is where the hell that brass has gone. Provided it is out of that gun and you have a fresh round in, you're good. I've seen a couple of videos now where the PH is saying, shoot him again, or please fire again. And he looks back because nothing's happening. And here the hunter is looking for brass. I mean, it's just the most crazy thing you've ever seen. But it happens with regular interval. So please, when you're going to go after dangerous game, focus on the task at hand. You want to get that animal down. You want to get it down as quickly as possible, as humanely as possible. So what I say is just, when it's time to shoot, keep shooting and don't focus on anything else. Make sure brass comes out, make sure a fresh bullet goes in, and make sure you hit that target. That's all you need to do. Afterwards, when everything is said and done, you can take as much time as you need to collect brass.
Let's take a quick look at the targets. We'll start with the one closest to us. You can see, it was hit by most everything. One a little lower down, it was destroyed completely. Then we go down to the buffalo at about 45 yards. I think it is possible to see there in the chest area at least the 7mm and the 416 hit center mass. 22 was a little to the left. Well, on the life size target we can pretty much see the 3 shots there pretty much close to each other. So at least at that 90-yard mark, we could find the target pretty easy. And the aim would be to get those 3 shots closer and closer all the time. And I may need to go about 2-3 inches higher, and then it should be perfect. Yeah.
Well, my hope is that everybody finds just maybe one small thing here that makes their next buffalo hunt safe, effective, and really enjoyable. Thank you very much for watching.